Oh, look at that view. Vele here had a problem over the weekend. Last weekend? No. Actually, the problem started a while ago. What happened was that I was changing her oil and I accidentally over-tightened the bolt somehow. I over-tightened the bolt and ripped out the threads from the engine block. Yeah, so that wasn't fun. I then had to take her to Skagit Power Sports, which I just got her back, and 2 nights later, guess what? She's still leaking. So now I have an appointment with Power Sports again, this Wednesday, actually. They use something called a time search. It's like a Helix 2.0, and what it is they basically screw it in, creates new threads, but inside of it, like inside the cylinder, are more threads, so you can then put a screw inside of there. And they use the original, the thing that plugs the oil drainage plug. They used the original one of that, the one that was still on my bike, and apparently that one has been on my bike since 2006. So it's the original OEM part, which there's a tautology there, because the O in OEM does mean original. Turns out that Saturday morning, because the appointment was on the previous Thursday when they fixed her, Saturday morning I found like half-inch puddles on the the concrete floor in the garage. And she is slowly leaking oil, but it's so minuscule I can still ride and stuff. I hope the fix doesn't take too long, because I'm planning on riding her there, but I don't have anybody that can pick me up. Well, they probably do, but nobody can get there easily. Anyways, I was saying, what was I saying? You know, I completely forgot. But yeah, so this thing is called a time search, and it was supposed to completely fix the problem. This is crooked. There we go. It was supposed to completely fix the problem, but it didn't. So I'm going to take her back in on Wednesday, and hopefully they can fix her. The bolt, I don't know if I mentioned that, but the bolt is OEM, and I was actually surprised on the quality because it's made of steel, but it has a magnetic tip. I was expecting that to be an area where Suzuki would not really cheap out, but wouldn't want to go overly insane on the budget. The reason I tightened the bolt down so hard was because the manual thing says tighten it down to 21 Newton meters, which is 186 inch-pounds, or 15 foot-pounds. They're all the same measurement, just different units. It told me to tighten that down, and I had no reason to believe that the manual was wrong. It's always been right so far. And everything I looked up, like on how to do the chains and stuff, everything I looked up said pretty much said the same thing the manual did. And so I'm like, okay, this seems excessive, but I'll do it. And I was rotating the screw with the torque wrench, because, let's face it, you need a torque wrench to do that. Really, to tighten it down that far. I was rotating it with the torque wrench, and the bike itself began to rotate on the pavement. And as it turns out, you know, I pushed back up against her crash bars here, and I, pushed harder and harder and harder, and then I heard a crack. And I'm like, oh no. So I tried to tighten it a little bit more, hoping that it was just nothing, and it turns out that the screw was actually much more loose. And I actually tore out some of the threads. But I thought I just cross-threaded it, which was the thing, until I found out that I overfilled my oil, and I had to let some out. Actually, I had to let a lot of it out. When I took off the bolt, I saw the threads, and I'm like, ah, crap. And basically, if you want to know how tight the bolt pretty much was, it was to the point of, it was too difficult to hand tighten it down, but it was too loose to properly tighten down with the ratchet, so I sort of had to hold the ratchet while rotating it so it made the crank sound, and let it go when I twisted it again. I am not very good at motovlogging, honestly. I plan on getting better with time, because I want to record some motovlogs on my way to college. I plan on recording on Mondays and uploading the following Sunday. Maybe the following Monday, I'm not too sure yet.